digitization, the virtual twinning, the capability of cloud technology, these things help us from the start point of the design of the car through to how we go racing.
Tell me, do you think it's fair that most people consider sustainability in the automotive sector? It starts and ends with electric vehicles, but do you believe people are actually overlooking things?
Yeah, absolutely. Sport and the automotive industry, if I use our example as a racing team, right, we're in sport, and sport is an amazing platform to drive lots of other things. In the automotive sector, electric cars are one element of it. Yes, it's the end product, but actually it's everything that the industry affects. It's supply chain, and there's so much benefit that is coming from this transition to EVs, this drive for sustainability. The end product might be a car, but consider the whole supply chain that is changing and is evolving. Consider the technologies that are evolving to make that car possible, and also the supporting industries. And then when you look at it also through the lens of sustainability, there's a huge benefit. And one great example in the automotive industry would be how we use renewable energy, so energy sources. How are we doing that? And JLR is a great example. We've made a commitment that 1/4 of our energy will be from renewable sources, either on site or nearby. So driving a change in mentality around energy. You've probably heard of the phrase second life batteries. So cars have batteries and EVs, and what do you do with those batteries at the end of that life in the vehicle? So looking at things like second life battery projects, we have those within JLR, and you see the industry massively evolving quickly to create mobile energy storage solutions. So there's so many other products and so many other technologies which come off the back of the drive to advance the development of electric vehicles and accelerate the development of electric vehicles in the automotive industry. That's just talking about one element. If you think about technology, connectivity, there's just a huge amount, and it's exciting. The more momentum it gets, the more benefits and offshoots that come from that.
How important is technology to being able to deliver some of the sustainability, but also the innovation areas that you talk about? You mentioned using the cloud. What is it that your team are doing in the back office, so to speak, in terms of leveraging that data that's coming in, and what's the impact that it has for the team?
It's absolutely huge, to be honest. And in our time in Formula E, and I would say as every year goes on, the access and the capability of the technology around us just becomes even more significant. If I use the example, wind the clock back, when we physically used to have to design prototypes, you test prototypes of components you're designing. You make maybe a number, you trial them, and you find the best one. We can do a lot of that in the virtual world to start with. So by the time we go to prototyping, we've actually done a lot of that virtual work already. So we know the direction we're heading in. Where in the past you'd have to produce physical assets, and you'd have to do some of that work up front. That saves time, that saves cost. So that's a great example. The ability to digital twin is critical these days. That's a big step, I would say, that we've seen in the industry and from a technology point of view. And that goes beyond that prototyping phase. When we look at, as a race team, how we operate as well, everything we do is in the digital world. Our car is already fully scaled in the virtual world. We have a driver in the loop simulator where the drivers prepare for any race wherever you are in the world. In the simulator, before they even turn up in that country, they've done laps of a qualifying simulation, a race simulation, and we have an idea of how we're going to run the race. In the past, we would have had to do that physically. That would take a lot more time, a lot more cost. So we're incredibly prepared, and I use the example in other sports. Let's say in golf, you have to hit millions of golf balls to become good. Well, we can't do that in racing. We can't just drive that amount of miles, which wouldn't be feasible, right, to do that many laps in preparation for an event. But we can actually do that in the virtual world before we turn up. So we're far better prepared than probably race teams ever used to be because of that technology and capability. So that's a big step change where technology has improved the show. From our perspective, it allows us to be really prepared. There's no surprises. I like to use the phrase reduce the variables, and by doing that, we're reducing the variables. So the digitization, the virtual twinning, the capability of cloud technology, these things help us from the start point of the design of the car through to how we go racing. And then how we go racing is a great example. We're racing, in our case, in Formula E. We're racing 10 other teams, 20 other cars. We're playing chess, in essence, with 20 other drivers and other chess players. And we have to strategize when we're going to overtake, when we're defending, when we're using our energy or not. And that virtual world allows us to practice and prepare for that scenario as well. So to answer your question, really, technology allows us to be far better prepared. It allows us to reduce the variables, and it allows us to turn up in a much more prepared manner. And in sports, our job is to try and make the sport as boring as possible, to know the outcome. It's impossible to know the outcome, but that's our job, to try and make it, from a race team point of view, to know the answers to the questions that we're going to be asked throughout that process, from design through to racing.